You remember the canvas bag and the rubber-banded newspapers. The stranger object is the collection book. Small enough for a coat pocket, ruled into neat little debts, it turns a 12-year-old into the person who has to knock, smile, and ask Mrs. Kelly for 65 cents. Act 1. Setup. By the 1950s, the American paper route is already a machine. Afternoon dailies land on porches after school. Morning papers arrive before sunrise. Publishers want circulation. Advertisers want household reach. And local boys become the cheapest last mile in town. In 1964, the newspaper and education program is still years from peaking, but the newspaper itself sits at the center of civic life. Walter Cronkite comes on at night. Car radios carry the Beatles. On front stoops, the daily paper is how weather, war, comics, and grocery prices enter the house. Here's the thing. Delivering is only half the job. Many carriers also collect payment door to door, usually once a week. They carry a route list, a stubby pencil, and a collection book printed by the paper. Every porch doubles as an accounts desk. The numbers are small, which makes the lesson feel harmless. A week's bill might be 50 cents, 70 cents, maybe a little more by the 1970s. Miss 3 weeks, and the balance starts to look serious to a kid who still needs lunch money. Act 2. Rise. The system spreads because newspapers build entire youth programs around it. The Miami News, the Dallas Morning News, the Des Moines Register, the Minneapolis Star and Tribune. Each paper trains carriers, assigns district advisors, and treats the route as a sales territory with quotas. A lot of carriers use official collection books supplied by the newspaper or by printing vendors serving the trade. Open one and you see lined customer names, address spaces, weekly boxes, and a place to mark paid. Cheap cardstock outside, soft pulpy paper inside, newsprint smell all over it. By the 1950s, this is large enough to have its own industry rituals. The Newspaper Carrier Hall of Fame in Aurora, Illinois, eventually preserves the culture. Before that, trade publications and carrier manuals describe contests, bonuses, complaint logs, and the sacred rule: collect promptly because the carrier owes the paper. That last piece matters. The young carrier purchases papers at a wholesale rate and resells them to subscribers. The margin is the profit. If a customer delays payment, the paper still expects its money. Hold on to that detail. The risk slides downhill to a child. Publishers sell the route as character training. Boys Life and local paper promotions praise punctuality, thrift, courtesy, and hustle. The Newspaper Association of America later celebrates the route as a proving ground. Former carriers from Martin Luther King Jr. to Warren Buffett get named as alumni. At its peak, the scale is enormous. Historian Jason Epstein and media scholars alike note that after World War II, daily newspaper circulation becomes one of the dominant household subscriptions in the United States. Millions of homes receive papers through carrier routes, many managed by children. The route reaches its high-water mark in the mid-20th century. The American Newspaper Publishers Association reports daily circulation climbing past 60 million by the 1970s. In countless neighborhoods, Thursday or Friday collection night means the same sound. Knock, pause, coins clinking into a palm. Act 3. Twist. The sweet myth says this teaches responsibility. It does. It also teaches collections. Carrier manuals tell kids how to ask firmly, how to return on payday, how to mark partials, and when to stop service. A child learns credit control from a booklet with cartoon lettering. That hidden labor is why some former carriers remember the route less as freedom and more as pressure. The bag cuts into a shoulder. Dogs chase. Rain soaks the book. Then comes the awkward round after dinner, when adults peek through curtains and say, "Come back next week." In 1974, the U.S. Supreme Court looks at a different side of the route. In Ginsburg v. New York, no. The more relevant legal marker comes later, with labor scrutiny and state rules that keep carving exceptions for newspaper delivery. Carrier work sits in a strange zone between entrepreneurship and child labor. Federal labor law has long treated newspaper delivery as an exception. Under the Fair Labor Standards Act, minimum age provisions exempt delivery of newspapers to the consumer. That means a job involving cash handling, dark streets, and customer debt collection can still be framed as wholesome neighborhood training. Then, the business changes. Afternoon papers begin to die. Television takes breaking news first. Suburban sprawl makes walking routes harder. By the 1980s and 1990s, many publishers shift to adult carriers using cars. Weekly collecting at the door starts disappearing, along with the child on the bicycle. The object survives in attics. A route ledger from the St. Louis Post-Dispatch, a collection book from the Pittsburgh Press, a canvas sack from the Omaha World-Herald. On eBay, they turn up with penciled names still inside. Tiny balances preserved like household archaeology. Former carriers remember details that never make the nostalgia posters. The rubber thumb stall for folding papers, the string burns from bundling, the district manager counting returns, the panic of being short a few dollars because a customer says the husband already paid. That's where it gets weird. Warren Buffett often talks about his paper route for the Washington Post. No. Earlier, he delivered the Washington Post and earned serious money as a teenager in Omaha. Filing a tax return in 1944. Popular memory turns that into pluck. The collection book shows the bookkeeping hiding under the legend. There is also a gender story. Paperboy stays the common word for decades, but plenty of girls carry routes too, especially later in the century. By the 1980s, papers and local coverage increasingly say, carrier. The old booklet still sits there unchanged, asking every kid the same question. Who owes what? Look closely at one of these books, and you can see the neighborhood's pulse. The reliable pair in blue ink, the chronic late box with crossed-out dates, the address suddenly blank because the family moved. It is a map of trust, avoidance, habit, and recession, kept by a 7th grader. And because newspapers are newspapers, everything gets measured. Start totals, stop totals, complaints, vacation holds, collections due. The route is a tiny circulation department. Long before spreadsheets, kids are running receivables on porches, under streetlights, with damp cuffs and a pocket of nickels. Act 3, after. When people miss this era, they usually miss the bicycle silhouette. I keep circling back to the paperwork. A civilization leaves traces in forms, stubs, ledgers, and little boxes to be ticked. This one says adults trusted children with money, but only after pushing risk downhill. The collection book also catches a pre-digital kind of intimacy. Billing is face-to-face. If someone falls behind, there is no autopay cushion and no anonymous reminder email. There's a kid on the step, trying to be polite, hearing the television through the screen door. So the paper route collection book is not a side prop. It is the quiet engine of the route's discipline. Cheap paper, pencil marks, wet fingerprints. An entire business model balanced on children delivering news and collecting debt before school. Lock that memory in the vault, and I'll see you in the next case. Which one of these had you forgotten until just now?